Hi, everybody. All the Simply Cher Cher fans, thank you so much for tuning in. We have a treat for you today because we have Emma here from the Urban Botanist.
That's right. Hi, guys. Welcome all my fellow urban botanists and welcome new friends also. I'm so excited to get started and talk all things terrariums.
Yes, and if you notice that we are a little bit, like we've got a little bit of
We're a little sweaty.
J-Lo,
We got that glow. We got that J-Lo glow.
It's because here in Canada, it's really hot.
It is super hot.
And we're kind of in our own little terrarium right now.
That's right. That's right. So if we're looking a little bit, just a little bit moist, maybe like just a little fresh, that's why just focus on the plants. It's good to go.
Yes. And so I just want to give you a rundown of how this live session works because Emma does a ton of workshops at home shows, even private events.
Yeah.
So we thought it would be a great idea to do this live to reach a ton of people who have never done terrariums before, or maybe you're, maybe level 2, level 3. But the whole idea of being live is that you can ask questions while we do this. I'm going to be the little moderator here. So if you catch me looking over here, I am checking the chat, making sure that we interact with you because this is all about you guys. Right?
That's right. That's right. It's a really unique opportunity to virtually connect with a wider range of people, for you guys to connect with us even through the questions through the YouTube channel. So if you have any questions, fire away. Cher's going to ask them to me. Maybe they're directed to Cher. Feel free to ask as many questions as you need and want. We are here for it.
Yes. And I know that a ton of you have already started commenting. So quick shout outs to Nicole, to Eunice, to Jason. We have Kaya and Raina. And I know that there's a lot of you who might just be joining in. So just get comfortable. Today we have some ginger ale, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, some ice chilled ginger ale.
Ice chilled ginger ale in this cute little wine glass. Keep us hydrated.
Gotta stay hydrated.
But we also have coffee.
That's right.
Yes.
We need all the things.
We need all the things to make sure that we have enough energy to do this and stay focused for you guys. Now, I also want to give a shout out to Shalini and Sean.
Shout out Shalini and Sean. Huge shout out to you guys.
Because they were the ones that kind of put us in contact.
Yeah, they're our home show friends.
Yes, they're home show friends. And honestly, they are super sweet. And they, Shalini just said, you know what? I think you should just chat with Emma. And we did. And we kind of had our own little BFF love story.
We're immediately this has to happen. We have to synergize and create some awesome stuff for our viewers. So this is how it all came together. We love it.
Yes. Now, I also want to let you know that we are doing 3 giveaways today. Big ones. Maybe not like an iPad, but close.
Pretty much on the same level almost.
Yes.
Depends who you're talking to.
Yes. But I'm thinking about at least $500 worth of giveaways.
We are.
Which are great because as long as you guys are tuning in during this session, you can have a chance to win, and I will be revealing all those prizes. Actually, I'll reveal the prizes now, but I'll tell you how to enter at the end.
That's right. That's right. So the opportunity to enter will be throughout this whole workshop, especially if you're tuning in live. You have the chance to win these prizes. We're going to tell you what they are, and at the very end, we're going to tell you how to enter.
Yes, and I will keep reminding you because they're really good giveaways. Okay, so giveaway number 1 is from Emma because she is super sweet and very generous. And why don't you tell them what it is?
So our prize pack is going to be a DIY terrarium kit for yourself. You get the whole kit. It comes with absolutely all the fun things that you need, tools, plants, decor, everything that you need to build your own terrarium at home. If you don't feel like going out and getting all the little odds and sods, this kit comes with absolutely everything that you need to build at home.
Yes. Now, giveaway number 2 is from me, which is a 30-minute virtual design consultation. So now we are all home. A lot of us are home, working from home as well. Maybe we're redoing our offices. Maybe we're redoing a living room or a kid's room and making the best of this situation. And sometimes you just need a little bit of help. So I'm going to connect with you virtually, whether it's FaceTime, Skype, WhatsApp, whatever you want to do. But I am giving that away because I think it's so important. And I think that people need a little help. And why not?
Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of people right now have some little COVID projects on the go. It's the perfect thing to integrate into your COVID project at home.
Exactly. Now, the third prize is something that, is going to keep you really crafty because on Simply Cher Cher, we love interior design, but we also love crafts.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Who doesn't love crafts? And my friend Jason, who is watching right now, also mentioned that, yeah, basically crafting is like so popular right now. And yeah, I have a ton of glitter. I have a ton of pom-poms. But what I'm going to do...
Glitter and pom-poms is all you need to start crafting. So get started. Get ready.
Yes, and there's no age limit because even as an adult, I love pom-poms. So I'm going to put together a cute little Simply Cher Cher craft kit, whether it's for an adult or for your children. You just let me know, whoever the winner is, and I will put that in the mail for you.
Sounds pretty easy. Sounds pretty sweet. You'll have to find out and wait till the end of this little session to find out how to win these awesome prize packs.
Yes. So I'm just checking the chat right now, and Jason says we need wine. Well, today we have ginger ale.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll just
but
cheers.
You're absolutely right, Jason. Cheers to you.
Amazing. Okay, so why don't we talk about terrariums?
I don't know. Should we just like dive into it?
I think
How
we
many
should
people
dive
are
into
diving
it.
to get into it? We want to know what you're building with, what kind of plants are you using, what does your glassware look like? The amazing thing about terrariums and why I get so excited and what really got me into the world of terrariums is just how many different shapes and sizes you can build a terrarium into. It really truly does become an addiction. You know, I don't find that I look at the same piece of glassware in the same light anymore. You know, I find a cool, like unique piece of glass that I usually tend to thrift. And I'm like, wow, that would make a really cool terrarium.
And like, where did you get that from?
This is from Salvation Army.
See, I love that.
On a budget, absolutely doable. This was actually a lamp that I turned into a terrarium, believe it or not.
Whoa.
Look at this tiny, cute little dude.
So how cute is that?
Like, I mean, honestly, the possibilities are endless when it comes to terrarium building. Now, I think I'll start out with explaining what is a terrarium.
Yeah, because you know what? I think a lot of people know what a terrarium is, but they don't really. And I'm speaking for myself. I'm like,
they think they do.
Cool.
They're like, do I? What is it, Emma? I don't get it. Like, how does it work? What is it exactly? So I kind of like to break it down into the idea that a terrarium is a terrestrial version of an aquarium. Couple light bulbs going off. Does that make sense?
Yes, and Andy also says that he's dying to get into this.
Well, Andy, honestly, it is just the tipping point for your addiction, I promise you. They make such great gifts, especially any of the sealed ones for the low maintenance gardeners. We're going to get into that.
Yes, please.
But these make amazing gifts. They're the gift that keeps on growing. They're going to last a lot longer than a bouquet of flowers.
You need to put that on a t-shirt.
That's it. Honestly, it just works. It sells itself. But truly, it is such a nice and thoughtful gift. And they're so much fun to make. I find it very therapeutic, very relaxing, as you at home will find while we create our terrariums. But really, that's kind of what we're looking at here. So a terrestrial version of an aquarium, it's kind of like a snapshot of an ecosystem captured inside of a glass vessel. There's so many different types of ways you can make them, plants, this and that, decor. It's an unlimited source of ways that you can create and design your own terrariums. So we're going to be showing you today how to make an open terrarium. There's two different types. There are open and sealed. We will talk about the difference between the two.
Like so many questions already.
I'm sure it can be overwhelming. It can be a little bit intimidating too. You're like, oh my gosh, I kill everything. I don't get it. Is it like an ecosystem? Like, I really don't get it. And you know what? I will maybe even start with that. So here's a cool guy here. Anything with, you know, a lid on top is a sealed terrarium, of course, makes sense. So really the big difference between open and sealed terrariums is mainly the types of plants that you can put inside. If we're working with succulents or cacti, you know, really dry, arid ecosystem plants, you're not going to put them in something that's sealed because, as you can imagine, a sealed terrarium really locks in that moisture. So you're going to be using moss, ferns, really tropical, moisture-loving plants. So it does come down to the plants, which can be intimidating. That's why we're starting off easy with this workshop.
Yes.
We will probably, stay tuned, we will probably be doing level 2/level 3 on the next video. But today we are doing open terrariums, and that is basically, we're working with succulents, at least for this workshop today.
That is like, okay.
They're just the cutest, aren't they?
They're so cute. And as like a designer, like succulents are so popular. You see them all over HomeSense, all over IKEA. Like you can't get enough of them. But I think for me, even when I look at them, I'm like, these are so cute, but I'm going to kill them. I just don't have the confidence.
Now, raise your hand or type it in the chat or think to
guys.
yourself at home. This is a safe space, but raise your hand or type it in the chat if you've ever killed a succulent. No, I've killed a succulent. Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. And this is something that I really try to normalize, is that every plant parent is a good plant parent. We're all different. We all have the ability and opportunity to grow good things and grow green things. But succulents can be really tricky. Yes, they are adorable. Are you kidding me? And they just have these really thick, fleshy bodies, right?
Yes.
And I find a lot of people get really confused. They're like, oh my gosh, I just got a new plant. I'm going to take it home. I'm going to water it every single day. I'm going to be the best plant mom, plant dad ever.
No.
No.
Says everyone, does nobody.
You don't want to water succulents every day. You don't even want to water them every week. You want to think about this plant. I know, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing, right? And you're probably all at home thinking, okay, this makes sense.
Okay,
I water it every day.
Says that she kills everything she touches, and she tries so hard.
Nicole, I hear you, girlfriend, and we are here for you. That is honestly one of the main reasons why people actually kill their plants. It is the most common, probably the number one reason why plants die. Indoor plants at least, is from overwatering.
Okay.
They're very easy to overwater and kill. So that's why today, and we're gonna get into it, I promise you guys, you're probably itching to get your hands dirty at home, but that's why I love using succulents for terrariums. They're small, they're cute, they grow slowly. So they're not going to outgrow this space anytime soon. It'll last in this terrarium at least 2 years. And this is a 2-inch size potted plant.
Like
4-inch would work. It's a thing. They grow very slowly, so they're not going to outgrow your space. The other amazing thing about them is that they are so low maintenance. Truly, you only need to water your succulents once a month or whenever the soil has completely dried out.
Okay,
Boom.
so note to self. So Emma sent me this kit, and I've already watered it twice. So I did that wrong.
But also, it depends on your space. It so totally depends on your space. And I need to make that point. Because if you have a really dry space, the soil is going to dry out faster.
Okay.
So my point is always to go to the soil. Is the soil bone dry? Okay, it's time to water. Is the soil still a little moist? Time to wait.
Should have done that.
Okay? If you can take anything away, take that away.
Oh, Ali is saying that Mondays are his day to do the watering.
It's always nice to have a day of the week that, you know, you're engaging with your plants at home. You're practicing that mindful horticulture. I've personally found that I've integrated into my daily practice, and it has like honestly totally changed my lifestyle. It like is a great way to start your day. You're a lot more calm, you're a lot more present, you feel more connected to the earth, to Mother Nature. I'm not gonna get too crazy, but it is a nice feeling, isn't it?
It totally is. Jason is also asking if he needs to talk to his plants more.
Absolutely. Talk to them, sing to them, they're listening. They are.
Like actually though?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, are you
They're
kidding
like
me?
little babies, right?
And even if they're not listening, like sometimes you just need to get something off your chest, and who better to say it to than maybe your plants that can't talk back to you
Yeah,
or
like
be mad at you for a week.
Hey, little succulent, I'm hangry.
Mm.
Now what?
Mm-hmm.
Get me a hot dog.
Get me a hot dog. That's like absolutely something you would say to a plant.
Well,
Yes.
it's better than saying it to my husband.
Exactly. No, and you know what? Take that out on your plants. You know, they water you, you water them. It's kind of like this nice give and take, and that's why I love plants so much.
You know what? This is, okay, so put it in the chat right now, guys. Are you learning so much in the first, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of this workshop? Because I am. I had no idea that I only need to water succulents once a month. I didn't know what a closed and open terrarium was and why. And yeah, so this is just a little. This is just the start, okay? And I'm sure once again, you guys are all getting ready at home. So what do we need? What do we need to get started? Yes, let's go through the recipe, the materials, the supplies.
Yes, yes. So first things first, you're going to need a glass vessel. It doesn't matter what you are using. Mind you, it will matter depending on how much material you are going to need to fill said glass vessel. If you're using a massive glass bowl, you're gonna need obviously a little bit more soil, a little bit more gravel, a little bit more of the good stuff. But we're going with kind of a 6-inch in diameter size glass fish bowl That works just perfectly. You're going to need soil. This is a succulent cactus grade soil. A tropical grade soil works perfectly. Essentially, the difference between this and regular potting soil is it's got some sand mixed into it. So it helps with the drainage. Another thing that you are going to need is a drainage base layer. This is just regular pea pebble stone.
Where can you get that?
You can get this at Home Depot, Home Hardware. It's kind of similar to like the gravel that you put down out on your sidewalk. It's really easy to find. You're going to want to use something that's totally raw, hasn't been treated at all. The other thing that you're going to need, and we've had this question a lot, is this black stuff here is horticultural grade charcoal. We've had this question already come through a few times. What is it? Do we need it? Where do we get it? Horticultural grade charcoal kind of comes in these black chunks, these chunky chunks.
Chunky chunks.
So it's kind of a unique, weird material. It can be hard to find. I will say that it is not necessary for an open terrarium. It's a nice thing to have.
Okay.
It can be tricky to find. Basically, what the horticultural charcoal does is it works as a cleaning agent for your terrarium. For something that is sealed, it is pretty much necessary, because essentially what it works to do is it helps to filter and clean the water that is trapped within the terrarium. It helps remove bacteria. It helps to reduce odor. It's not really going to happen with an open terrarium because it's not a sealed system, but it's a nice thing to add. If you can get your hands on it, do it.
It's kind of like your water filters. Like there's charcoal, there's other like natural things that will just purify that environment. I mean, that totally makes sense to me. Question for you again, what's the ratio from like for the gravel and the charcoal?
That is a great question. You only need a tiny amount of charcoal. Literally a spoonful is all you need for something, you know, small to medium size. As soon as you're getting into something a little bit bigger, you're kind of working to just cover the base layer of your terrarium. So the bottom, just the very bottom here. So you can kind of think that that's, you know, small circle. You want to like cover that. Not like 2 inches deep or anything, but just cover it so that you can't see the table through. That's the amount you want. A couple spoonsful, it really does the trick. It's all you need. Okay, so we have that. We did the soil. You're going to need a plant, and we're working with succulents specifically today, so a smaller sized one. You know, you don't want a plant that's humongous and going to outgrow your terrarium in like a day.
A day, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to try and find something that's a little bit on the smaller side is perfect. You know, a nursery, you can find them at Home Depot, even IKEA.
Yeah, that's
little plant.
totally cool.
Little plant dude like that. Decor is totally up to you. You can add your own creative flair. We have some really cute pieces of driftwood, some funky stones that are just picked off the beach. We also have here some preserved moss. This is reindeer moss. It's not living, so it's just for decor. We have some little pine cones and just a fun little glass mini, you know, message in the bottle.
I love that. A little message in the bottle, a little love letter. Maybe it's a joke. Whatever you want to do. This is something that you can really do to personalize your terrarium and make it different from other people's.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you go on a trip, you've picked up some shells on the beach in Costa Rica or Florida or wherever, and you just have these shells collecting dust at home or some crystals. You can add that to your terrarium. That will be the very final step, however. So you're not going to be using any decor until the very final step.
I have one little question for any of the kids watching out there. If I wanted to put one, like a little figurine, like a dinosaur or a cute little bear.
Oh my gosh.
That's made out of plastic. Is that going to affect this little ecosystem?
No. Great question. I totally encourage figurines. What I love about terrariums is how you can kind of just like tell a story with the landscape. Is this bear like running away from a lion maybe? You can really get creative with designing your piece, which is what is so fun about terrarium building.
So we have some questions. Since we've kind of gone through these materials, let's just answer a few questions. What about sunlight? That's what Nicole's question. I think we were kind of like backtracking a little bit.
Absolutely. So we will be talking all about care throughout the workshop. So don't worry. I promise I will cover everything. When it comes to sunlight, and this is a great question for all plants, how much sun does my plant need? And it is so specific to the plant that you're working with. Now for today, obviously we're working with succulents. They love a lot of sun. They do not need direct sun necessarily, but a bright space is perfect. they're not going to do so well in a low lit, basement or a bathroom that doesn't have any windows.
Okay.
You're going to want to try and give your succulents some bright sun, at least 6 hours a day.
Okay, that's a good tip because I know for myself, I've got bay windows. I get sun from 2 until basically now. And
perfect.
Yeah, I have one window where all my plants live, and then that's about it.
That's perfect. It's perfect. It's totally dependent on the type of plants that you're working with. So if you're making a sealed terrarium, just for comparison, these plants in here are low light loving plants.
Okay.
So
that's a really good tip. So wait, hold on. Would this work in a basement with a small window?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. As long as it's getting some like partial light. Of course, you can imagine, because there's a lid on this, if you were to put this in direct sun, it's just going to cook everything inside.
That makes sense.
Not a good thing.
No.
Not a good thing. But with open terrariums, you're a lot more easy to do whatever you want. You truly can put any plant in here. But think again, you just don't want to put anything that's huge or going to get huge, which is another reason why, once again, I love using succulents or cacti, those varieties, peperomias, for those of you who know your plants.
Peperomias.
Yes, there's
not
so
a
many
pepperonia.
Not a pepperoni either. Pepperomias.
Pepperomias.
You're like, oh, I'm hungry now.
We have a question from Eunice, and she says, I am doing moss terrariums that have ferns, African palm, Phytonia.
This is a Phytonia in here.
Coffee plant and tropical plants. I'm afraid.
So those are all tropical plants, yeah.
Yes, I'm afraid that the moss would suck all the water and leave other plants dry. Any
cool question. So this question is kind of specific to sealed terrariums, which, whenever you're talking about a sealed terrarium, this is the true definition of a self-sustaining, self-regulating ecosystem. And what that means is it takes care of itself. Would you believe me if I told you that you never have to water this? I've never watered this, ever.
What?
No, it's actually crazy.
No.
It is crazy. It is so cool. This concept is what pulled me into the world of terrariums and was like, are you friggin' kidding me? I'm a huge nature lover.
Whoa.
I love anything that has to do with the forest, nature, So this you never have to water. So to answer your question, the amount of water that you put in is all that you ever need to add. Of course, you need to make sure you're adding the right amount. And I can tell you how to do that towards the end of the workshop.
Sure.
But you don't have to worry about moss pulling too much moisture away from the other plants, because this is, a workable ecosystem where everything is vibing off of each other essentially. And it's a workable space. So you would notice if your plants were starting to suffer, oh, they're looking a little limp, oh, the moss is looking a little brown. Okay, you just add a little bit more water to it. Simple fix.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is like a totally different beast, and we will definitely get to that. But these are like great questions. So I'm so happy that you guys are interacting. Andy also says that he's really excited about the whole driftwood, because I know that he goes to the beach a lot, and these is like so simple, like easy, free decor.
And it's funny, yeah, because sometimes I feel like you walk by the perfect piece of driftwood and you pick it up and you're like, that is so cool, but like, what on earth would I do with this?
Terrarium.
This is what you're gonna do with this.
Yes.
Right there, baby. Okay, so let's get started.
Okay, let's get started.
One last thing. We're gonna talk quickly about tools.
Okay, this is like something that you guys are going to die for, because I had no idea that these tools are so simple, and I already have them at home. Okay, let's run through it.
So all of you at home are going to need a spoon or a tiny shovel. It does not need to be a shovel. It can be a spoon, okay? And that's gonna be a really simple, high-tech piece of equipment here, folks. Don't hurt yourselves. This will just be for, of course, adding all the simple things to your terrarium. I really find that if you are able to incorporate some of these tools into your terrarium building, it doesn't have to be today, but as you go forward, it just makes the whole process so much more easy. Essentially, all these tools work as extensions of your fingertips.
Like Edward Scissorhands almost?
Yeah, well, think about it's hard to get into something like this. Like, how am I gonna get
I don't know.
my hand in there?
I was waiting for you to show us.
Right? This guy's a little bit easier, obviously, but I really like incorporating a paintbrush. It's super simple, easy to just kind of brush along the sides, any dirt or dust that's getting caught along the sides.
Love it.
It's also easy for kind of just, manipulating small little bits of sand or gravel.
Or dusting your succulent.
And it's good for dusting your succulent off. If you're finding that dirt or any debris is getting stuck in the delicate little petals here, you can use your paintbrush to just delicately brush it off.
For anybody who doesn't like doing chores, like cleaning the bathroom, you could just say, hey mom, I'm busy dusting the succulents, So, and that's way more important than cleaning the bathroom.
Yeah, it's a lot more rewarding too, honestly.
And it's living, so it's not like a toilet is like living,
Exactly,
so.
it's not as gross. It's like totally
okay,
cool.
Continue. Sorry.
Another thing that I find, with terrarium building, you kind of have to get innovative with the tools that you use, especially for like these guys, right?
Yes.
So another tool that I made at home, easy to do, is a cork and a barbecue skewer.
We never drank.
Right? Like a couple bottles of wine were harmed in the making of these tools, but it's okay. This works great for kind of acting as like, it's a stomper. I don't know, cork stomper. I need to come up with a cooler name for this. Yeah. But it's good for just kind of like, packing down the soil, digging a little hole. It's again, working as an extension of your fingertips for getting into those hard to reach spots. So this guy works great. Okay. Another one, again, barbecue skewer. I taped a spoon to the end. This is probably not all that important for this guy here, but if you're looking to build your terrarium tool set, this works great for, again, getting in there, kind of moving your soil around, digging a hole. This honestly works amazing, and it's so easy to just make. If you're looking to like build your terrarium craft skills.
Like, how fun is that?
How fun is that?
Yeah.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Funnel is usually really helpful too, for kind of just, having a little bit more control over where your smaller grain materials are falling. And then lastly, tongs.
Where did you get those?
These are insane, I know. And they're so fun. They're more fun to use than anything. Like, come on. I ordered these on Amazon, but you can find them at some like Shoppers Drug Marts.
No.
Truly, they're like
well,
a
what
medical.
Do you use them? Really?
I don't know what people are using these for other than terrarium building. I don't even want to know.
I would have assumed it would be for
cooking.
Food.
Yeah.
When you're doing those.
That's the other thing.
Cooking. Chef's plate, Iron Chef kind of plates at home. Now that we're all home and trying to
get crazy and crafty with our food.
Yeah, but Shoppers.
These guys work. I've seen them before. They're a little bit smaller, but even if you have small, like standard size tweezers, they can work for, again, getting in there, holding your plant down while you add more soil. These work, once again, as an extension of your hands. It kind of is, it makes it a little bit easier for manipulating those hard to reach spots and those fine grained materials inside your terrarium.
Amazing.
Okay, we're gonna stop talking. We're gonna get into it.
You know what? I think it's all about starting this DIY. It's terrarium time. We are gonna jump right in.
It's really about the basics. You guys have learned some like interesting stuff, and the tools really help for kind of putting all this stuff together. So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna show you how to actually assemble a terrarium. Okay. Cher and I are going to build one together and show you how it's done. Okay.
Get our hands dirty.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. So the first layer that we're going to add for those of you at home is our drainage layer. That's going to be the rocks, the gravel, that horticultural grade charcoal. I've mixed it in, which works just fine. There's no right or wrong way to mix this together. You just want to make sure that you are adding about a 1/2 inch layer of this to the base of your terrarium. So you can go ahead and start doing that, Cher, and I'll just tell you guys what this does. So for those of you who have plants at home, they usually have drainage holes in the bottom of the pots, right? We can't drill holes into the bottom of our glassware, so we do this instead. This is going to add some drainage to our terrarium. Basically what drainage is it allows for a space for water to kind of drain away to, so that it's not sticking to the soil, sticking to the roots, and resulting in root rot, which is really not good with plants. That's perfect, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's going crazy, but I love it.
Well, yeah, because there's just so much here. It's kind of like when you're eating, you're like, oh, I need to eat all the rice.
Yeah, and just to show you, like, truly, that is all that you need. You just need enough to cover the base of your glassware, okay? You don't need to come all the way up here. You just need enough so that you can't see the table through the materials that you've added, okay?
Good tip.
Thank you. So that works. We're all good on the drainage layer.
All good.
People at
How
home,
are you guys doing?
We're loving it. We're feeling crazy.
Yes, honestly, we're getting Nicole saying she's obsessed with the big terrarium. Allie loves all the tools.
The tools make it. They actually make it. I promise you. If you're feeling like getting crazy, tape a spoon to a barbecue skewer and feel the power that it gives you.
Now,
it's another level.
Yes. Now, Allie also says that this is really good for his eyebrow game.
Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't even think of that.
That is
Oh,
such a good tip.
I could like totally tweeze your eyebrows from afar.
If I had hair. Yeah, I don't. I draw my eyebrows. Anyways, another video.
Another video, another time. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, so next what we're going to add is our soil. Now, I get asked about soil all the time. Emma, what kind of soil do we use? Like, soil can kind of be, again, a little bit misleading. High-grade standard potting soil is fine. If you can get your hands on tropical or cactus-grade soil, even better. But we can work with standard, regular potting soil.
Got it.
So what you're going to want to do with something this size, or for those of you who are maybe using something a bit bigger, you want to come up about halfway with your soil. So you can go ahead and start adding that, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. So
and I can just free for all, like just
chuck it in. There's no right or wrong way.
I can make a mess.
Can
I do it with my hands?
Do it with your hands. You can get dirty. You can feel the earth if you want to. It's going to get messy. It's just
going to get messy. I don't know what
part of it.
Yeah, white table for a terrarium, maybe.
You can't avoid it, but I kind of love the splatter of the dirt. It just like gets me excited.
It reminds me of chocolate.
Makes me feel like we're really doing it. We're really getting in. We're really engaging with nature.
I love it. I love it. I'm making a huge mess.
So you don't need it to be packed super tight. That's another question that we get all the time. Does it need to be packed super tight? You don't want it to be quite as loose as it is, in the bag when you first get your soil. It doesn't need to be that loose, but you also don't need to pack it super tight because we're going to be dislodging that soil momentarily to plant our succulents, right?
So fun.
So I kind of like to add it about halfway. When you're visualizing how your terrarium is going to come together, basically picture your plant is going to be sitting just above your soil level. So if you're building something that's kind of tall, maybe come up to about 3/4 of the way high so that you can picture your plant sitting just above where the soil layer is going to stop. So similar to this guy here. This is looking good.
I have a question. So there's like a few little soil clumps. Do you have to break them apart?
You don't have to. You certainly can. That is a great question. You can break them up. I kind of like having that added step for just, really getting out some like stress and really smashing out those clumps.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is perfect. So you really kind of want to come just about halfway.
A little more?
In height. Yeah, you could do a little bit more.
Okay. I will do that.
Now you see how all around the side there's a little bit of soil sticking to the glass?
Yes.
It's very minimal, but that's why I like to introduce the paintbrush.
Okay.
And I'll show you. I like to just go around and nice and neatly, I'm a little bit OCD, but I'll nice and neatly go around and just kind of make it flat all around the edges. Because you got to think, anything that falls along the side of your terrarium, you're going to see. So any little pebbles, anything. So I like to keep it nice and neat and tidy.
It really is a stress reliever.
And
isn't it? Imagine like in between working, instead of having a coffee, just clean your terrarium.
That's it. That's what it's all about.
That's
what it's all about.
You
can use your cork stomper if you felt the need to make one at home. You can use the back. You can use your knuckles just to kind of pack it down, just slightly. You don't need to really get in there, but you kind of just want to make the whole top layer flat. You can use your cork stomper. Try that out. Isn't that nice?
This is so fun.
Isn't that cute? It works perfectly. It's like meant to be.
Okay, so I have a question. So my daughter is 16 months. Is there like an age that you can start doing terrariums with your kids, or is there?
I feel like any age, really, as long as they're building with their mom or dad, right? Like you're gonna need definitely to have a couple extra hands on deck because there are some like small details that you want to stay.
Sure, like the pebbles and everything like that.
Sure, right? And some of it can get a little bit boring for some age groups, but I think when you get to the end, when you're adding your fun moss and you're adding your figurines, it really is good and engaging for all ages. Absolutely.
Totally. So mom and dad, you can get to this point, anything where obviously there's like small little rocks or whatever, supervised, but the kids can have so much fun doing this. I know that my niece would have a ball and she's 9.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
So the next thing that we're going to do, I'm just going to tuck the soil aside. We might need it again, is we're getting to the quote unquote hard part. Now,
there's a hard part?
I promise you it's not hard.
Okay.
But some people start to freak out at this point. They're like, oh my God, I have to actually plant the plant. Like, I don't know how to do that. It's very easy, I promise you, okay? So you're going to take your plant. It's likely in a plastic nursery pot.
Yes.
And I like to just pinch it. Just give it a little squeeze. That helps to loosen up the root system, loosen up the soil, and your plant really should come out nice and easily.
Okay.
Just like that, okay? Super easy breezy. And once you've kind of loosened your plant from its pot, you're going to decide, where do I want to plant it inside my terrarium? I kind of like to put it right in the middle if you have something with some vertical growth like this dude. So what you can do is dig a hole that's about the same shape and size as the root system here, right? So you're digging a hole that's about that size. You also kind of want to, I know, it's going to get messy.
See, I'm not worried about the mess. It was just more of like,
is that dangerous?
Is this dangerous for the roots? Like, what do I do?
So don't be afraid to handle your plants. That being said, succulents can be very, very delicate. Their petals can fall off. Some of them are super, super delicate. This one's a little bit more hardy. But why I am messing with the roots right now is I'm loosening up the root ball. And why that's important is because we're introducing it to a new home, right? And this will give the roots a really great opportunity to explore its new home and grow and anchor itself into its new terrarium.
That is it's like such a good tip.
Yeah, you totally want to do this whenever you're repotting any plant, is massage the root ball, really loosen up the roots so that they're nice and dangly like that, okay? That's a really good thing to do, okay?
I feel like this is the part that makes me the most anxious because I take it out of the pot and then I'm like, oh, I ruined it. And so then now what?
You're like, everything's ruined.
Then I call Emma. I'm like, help me.
So now what we're going to do is decide where in our terrarium do we want to plant our plant. There is no wrong choice here, okay? There is no wrong choice. You can plant it off to the side a little bit, right smack dab in the middle. That's fine too. And like I said, you want to dig a hole that is the same shape, depth, and size as this root system. Easy, right?
So would you use the shovel or the spoon?
You can use your shovel. You can use your spoon. You can use your finger. You literally don't need any tools to do this, but you can use your finger. Dig a little hole. You can just completely dislodge the soil. It's fine.
Okay.
It's completely fine. Go for it. Go crazy.
I'm going to do, and do you kind of go as deep as where the gravel is?
Yes. So if you're hitting the gravel, that's fine. That's completely fine.
Are we doing a JLo glow pat break?
I'm like, myself because it's
so
cool.
Terrarium life is really hot. Okay, we're feeling better now.
So that's actually looking really good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's looking good. So it's kind of, a nice deep hole. If you're hitting the rocks at the bottom, that is fine.
So you're just moving the soil. You're not actually removing the soil.
No, you're kind of dislodging it. You're moving it to the side. That's fine.
It's kind of like baking. And you're going to put like your egg there.
It's super easy, okay? You're then going to take your plant. Here, you can do this, Cheryl.
Okay. I can do it.
I can trust yourself. And you can tuck it into that little hole that you just built for it. Oh. It's okay if it falls in like that, that's fine.
And so you sort of position it how you
position it, and if it's kind of flopping over, that's okay. We're going to now anchor the plant into its space. So all of that soil that you dislodged, you're going to again use your spoon, you can use your finger, and start tucking that soil towards the base of the plant. So essentially you're adding weight to the top of the roots. You can use a little bit more of your soil to add more weight, which means more anchoring to the terrarium so that the plant is nice and tight and well anchored in there. If you lose a couple leaves, which happens, it's not the end of the world. Your plant's not going to die, truly.
Sorry. I put soil all over the plant. That's
classic.
Oh, no, I know what to do.
No, but that's fine.
Dust.
Believe it or not, plants have adapted for managing soil.
Yes.
So it's fine. If you're getting soil on your succulents, it's fine. You can brush it away. If you don't have a paintbrush, you can blow it away. And that works just fine too. Okay, very gently with your fingers.
The tools definitely help lower the anxiety.
The tools help. The tools help. And you really want to get in there and you can use your fingers and now is where you want to pack the soil a little bit more tightly, okay? So you can pack that soil just a little bit more tightly around the base of the plant. And that's going to help to really anchor it and have it sit upright and just let it to grow a lot more easily and efficiently and effectively in its new home. Okay? We're on the way.
Cute.
We're on the way there.
Well, I feel like you said this was the hard part, right?
This is the hard part.
So we're already done the hard part, guys.
Yes. And you know what? It's just intimidating to some people, and it's actually fun. And also, I kind of meant to mention this, but what I also like doing through that process is I really like to actually look at the root system, because it's the part of plant that we never see, we never appreciate, we never recognize.
Yes.
And I'm not going to go all nerdy, crazy bio freak on you.
Next video.
You're like, yeah, maybe we'll air that. But truly, the root system is so incredible and fascinating. It's how the plant absorbs all of its nutrients. It really is a fascinating organ of the plant. So I always kind of like to, take a minute, check it out. So what I'm doing right now with my cork stomper, you can do it with your fingers, anything that works, is I'm just flattening out the top. And the reason for why I'm doing that is because I quite like the way that it looks when it's nice and flat on top. It really helps for when you're adding your fine grained materials, your decorative sand, your decorative gravel, to go down nice and uniform. And it kind of gives you like this nice blank landscape to now design and create and get crafty on your own.
Quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So does this have to be perfectly horizontal or no?
Great question. I love that question. No, it doesn't. If you have a piece of glass that maybe is a little bit on an angle, you want to build up the back and have the front kind of low, you can do that too. There's no to do it. If you kind of wanted to build up the top and have the soil not be flat and have it kind of like go up on an angle, that's fine too. It's totally, like I said at the beginning of the workshop, there are so many unlimited ways that you can create a terrarium, truly. I like to tell you that there's no wrong way. There really isn't, as long as you're putting the right plants in the right terrarium. To do this, you kind of have to let your creative juices flow. I'm again going around and brushing down that little bit of soil and dirt that's getting lodged on the side. So if you find that your terrarium is kind of a little bit more angular than ours here, that's fine.
This is awesome. I know that you guys probably have your hands dirty right now, but when you have a moment, definitely let us know how you are loving this workshop. I am just like mind blown right now, and we've only gotten to this step. We haven't even started with the decor, which is probably my favorite part, or I would at least say I'm somewhat of an expert, but I'm actually just gonna leave this to Emma.
The decor we're getting at. The decor is the next step. It is the most fun step. And honestly, this is the part where you can really let your creative juices flow.
What?
Get ready for it. You can really just tie in little pieces of your space. If you're kind of going with like a bohemian vibe, you can introduce, that driftwood, little figurines to kind of like bring the space to life. That's fine too. What I really like to do first is kind of lay down my base.
Okay.
So what I have here is, honestly, I just picked this up off the beach, super easy. Any sort of decorative gravel works fine. I really like just kind of the, different shapes and sizes and textures of these pebbles here. So what you can do is you can use your spoon, you can use your shovel, and I like to add my base layer first.
Love it.
Yeah, so why don't you go ahead and start adding your base layer. You can use your shovel or your spoon, and just kind of, what I'll do is I'll kind of scoop it, and yeah, you can just chuck pieces in. Some people like to have the soil showing, and that's fine too. Like I said, there's no wrong way to do it. I love the look of the natural soil, but I'll just add some nice groovy pieces of stone, just kind of to cover the soil. I find it adds like a really nice clean look.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I am having the best time.
And you're not doing it wrong. So there's nothing to be afraid of when it comes to terrarium building.
I think right now what I'll do is I'll have a little bit of rock in the foreground, and then we'll build.
Yes, and I actually love that you mentioned that, because one thing that I like to do too is I sometimes like to build up the back a little bit.
Yeah.
So things that I'll use to build up the back is, decorative moss. You can get this at Michael's. You can even get this at Walmart. This is preserved reindeer moss, okay? And I know that a lot of people look at moss and they're like, oh my gosh, what do I do with it? Does it have to be moist all the time? I don't get it. This stuff here is preserved, meaning it is not living anymore. It is real moss. It's just no longer living. So you don't have to worry about watering it. It will never die, decay, mold, fade. It's the same stuff that you used during your moss frame workshop that you did.
And I've actually found a ton of preserved moss at even the dollar store. I did a video on my YouTube channel. I'm going to link it up as well for the replay, and you can take a look at that. And that was so simple. It had such a great effect that Emma also does moss art.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I like to do with that stuff, and you can go crazy with it, do whatever you want, is I like to kind of build up the back.
Okay.
I find it adds like a nice kind of depth to the landscape so that if you're looking head on at the terrarium, it kind of has like a groovy backdrop to the plant.
Love it. See, I feel like now it's just starting to take shape.
It's coming together.
Now, a question about the moss. I know that for people who are just, let's say, learning about plants or learning about design, would you choose moss that have different colors so that you can have some depth?
Absolutely. So I think there's a tiny piece of dark green in there. And I do like to kind of pair that dark green and that light green together. It's not necessary, but you're right. It does add a nice little bit of shape, a little bit of depth. And I really just love the way that this moss kind of adds like almost like a bush.
Yes.
Kind of like just that added pop of greenery to the terrarium. It's not necessary to add, absolutely not. It's just like a nice little touch, right?
Yes.
So
is that
I
too
like
much,
to
or
add that.
are we like in a good spot right now?
Yeah, I think this looks amazing. Okay. I think this really does. I might add like a little bit more of this decorative.
Feel free to change anything.
Gravel, because I like to really cover the soil. I don't know. I just like that look.
Let's do it.
So we'll cover up the soil. I really like adding crystals too, just like a tiny little bit of shimmer. We talked about the glitter and the pom-poms earlier. Yes. You can incorporate glitter and pom-poms into terrariums. Why not?
Can you?
Why the heck not?
Oh, yeah.
Pom-poms, a little pom-pom? I don't know. That kind of sounds cute.
I love the pine cones.
Now, your final thing that you're going to add to your terrarium are your statement pieces, I like to call them. So anything that you're going to add last. And the reason why you're adding them last is it makes it a lot easier to add than kind of trying to work around those pieces with your finer grain decorative material. So I then go to trying out different pieces, like you put in a piece of wood. Oh, okay, no, that doesn't look so good. You can find the right piece for the right terrarium.
Okay, so I love just the look of more of like the whitewash, the greige, very popular in design.
Greige.
So
I love that. It's totally a thing.
So I don't know, maybe I'll just like tuck it in here. I love the pine cones. These are something like you can find in your backyard. If you're at the cottage right now, like why not just sort of like set yourself up for getting materials for terrariums.
You truly can forage for so many of these materials, and you can make that a fun activity too. Is like, let's go outside in the backyard and discover what's in our backyard, or let's go outside of the cottage and pick up some cool stones or some pieces of wood or pine cones or little tufts of moss that we love and incorporate them into our little tiny ecosystem here.
You know what's so fun too? I even have like a little lazy Susan. That would be so great if you're making terrariums, even like a bigger one, and you could literally just turn your terrarium so that you have an angle, like a 360 angle.
Yep, you can totally do that. And that works well for like the center of a coffee table too, right?
Yes.
Something that has a 360 view, so you're not necessarily having to build up the back. That's just one method of doing it. This little guy is cute too. It's kind of just, like a tiny little, I've seen people even, take the little scroll out. You could put some dirt inside, a little piece of moss maybe.
Whoa,
and make like
terrarium in a terrarium?
A terrarium inception. Look at that.
Oh my.
How cute is that?
Goodness.
Like, I'm sorry, but that's the cutest thing
Mark
ever.
and Sue Ann say they love the cork idea. We're getting a lot of hellos. I don't know if that's my dad or my brother. They both have the name Alan, so hi guys.
Hello, Alan.
Oh my gosh. Nina is just saying she didn't know anything about preserved moss. She's living and learning. This is so, so great. And Ali is doing this with his nieces, Kaya and Reina. I hope you guys are having so much fun. I feel like, come on, the terrarium
really coming
inside
together.
A terrarium is just
and isn't it kind of nice to just like go through it and like just lightly brush a couple of the little pieces, and it's just so relaxing and therapeutic, isn't it?
And honestly, people are just looking for ways right now to relax at home. Not everybody's able to go to work these days, so this is like a perfect little thing to have on your desk. And you know what? I know it's kind of crazy to say this, but Christmas is coming.
Absolutely.
birthdays, all that. These are like perfect gifts and they're handmade.
The thing that I love about that point is for the holidays, right? You know, you can easily transform this into a themed terrarium. Add a little bit of tinsel, add a little tiny bell, a little bit of red, a little bit of gold.
You can wrap it up.
Wrap it, put a little bow on it, and that can be the centerpiece for your dinner table or what have you. And as soon as the holidays are over, boom, you pluck that little piece out and it's no longer themed.
Okay, I have so many questions. Just a quick question. Let's say I made this and I wanted to obviously like transport it to a loved one's, or like, can I put it in a box? Will it survive?
Yes.
For like a day or maybe a week?
A week is too much.
Okay.
A plant like this would be okay in a box for maybe like 2 or 3 days max, depending on what the weather. They're not going to be okay in a box in -30 Canada winter,
yes.
or even +30 Canada weather. So you kind of got to think about that. It is a living, breathing organism. So yes, it is easy to transport. Mind you, I will say that driving around with a terrarium in your car is the equivalent of driving around with a stick of dynamite in your car. You take one sharp turn and it's like, it's done. It tips over. You got to start all over. It's a disaster. You got a terrarium in the bottom of your car. Try to just really travel with ease and care when it comes to traveling with
If only they had little car seats for terrariums.
Someday, maybe that'll be the
What
next
if we
thing.
invent car seats for terrariums?
I would actually really need that. Like,
right?
You don't understand.
Right?
Absolutely.
This is gorgeous.
And we had, again, another couple questions about moss, and people always end up coming back to it and trying to understand what the difference is between this preserved moss and the living moss inside of a sealed terrarium. It's a few different types, right?
Yes.
So this is real, true, living moss. And for those of you at home, this is kind of a fun little fact. This is called reindeer moss. Super cute. It's technically a lichen. I'm not going to get into it, but it's a cool organism. But basically, it's called reindeer moss because this is what the reindeer eat up north.
No.
How cute is that?
I didn't know that.
That's right. So that's where it gets its name from,
cute.
reindeer moss. And it's been preserved, essentially meaning that it's been dehydrated, all the water's been pulled out of it, and then it's been rehydrated with a preservative material called glycerin.
And it's fine. So it's preserved and you don't have to do anything.
One less thing to worry about.
I've used it and I've used just hot glue to put it onto a picture frame, and that's totally fine. It's pretty low maintenance. I know that my clients love it.
So cute. It's really, this stuff wouldn't work well in a sealed terrarium just because it is preserved. It will decompose if it's constantly wet. The only things that you want to be putting inside of a sealed terrarium is anything that is truly alive, living, because it's going to contribute to that natural ecosystem that you're essentially trying to recreate when you're designing a sealed terrarium.
So if you wanted to get real moss, you would have to go to a nursery to buy that?
So real moss can be tough to find. Truly, if you really wanted to, you could go outside and pick some in your backyard or off of a tree, like a tiny little piece of bark that has some moss growing on it. Another really cool thing that comes along with picking a piece off from, your trail, always be respectful of nature. Never, destroy a natural habitat, especially if it's a, place that's at risk or a sensitive space. Always be very aware and respectful of that. But what comes in the moss is a tiny, tiny insect called springtails. And it sounds kind of weird and people are like, ew, insects. But yes, insects are what's making this whole thing kind of work. These little tiny microorganisms called springtails that will eat algae, will kind of destroy bacteria. You would never really be able to see them, but they are such cool little insects.
It's pretty cool. I mean, you can see the difference between the preserved moss and the real moss. You can tell, like, it is living. There's a lot of action happening in that terrarium.
Yeah, there's so much new growth in here too, which is just, it's so rewarding to watch, a plant grow. And that comes back to that mindful horticulture that we talked about, and why I think it's so important to engage with nature inside your urban dwellings is, just the relief, not even the relief, but just that happiness that you feel from noticing, oh my gosh, is that a new flower? Is that a new leaf? Oh my gosh, it's grown like 2 inches in the last week. Like, you feel so accomplished having cared for an organism, that can't really talk to you and tell you what it needs. And it really, introduces that stress relief and that innate need to be close to nature.
Now, if I wanted to do a closed terrarium, what's the best way to kind of figure out what plants are going to go in there?
Number one thing, of course, is moisture-loving plants.
Okay.
Succulents are not going to last.
Okay.
Succulents like a very dry, arid ecosystem. So if you think about where a succulent naturally grows, it's the desert, right?
Yes.
Does it rain every day in the desert?
No.
Every week?
Like, no.
Still no.
Not enough.
You're trying to replicate the ecosystem that these plants naturally grow in. So keeping that in mind, we are not going to water our succulent terrarium every day, not even every week. We are going to water our terrariums with our succulents in them maybe once a month, okay? And when you are watering, you do want to make sure that you're delivering a good amount of water. I really like using something that has a bit of a controlled nozzle like this.
Ooh.
Just so that you can direct the water to the right part of the plant, right to the base, right where it's going to go and get absorbed by those important roots that we talked about. So I like using something like this. You can repurpose a Gatorade bottle, you can repurpose a ketchup bottle, anything that has a little bit of a nozzle. A cup works fine, it truly does. But you want to think about really moistening that soil and then allowing it to totally dry out before you water it again.
You totally read Jason's mind because he was asking about how much water should I put in my terrarium. So I'm glad we were able to answer that question.
Yes. It totally depends on how much soil you use too, right? Like we all made our own terrariums, so we are able to conceptualize how much soil is in there. You want to really make sure that you are fully moistening the soil between waterings, allowing it to totally dry out as well.
I am so happy because even though I'm sure a lot of you guys have, soiled fingers right now, we've got Jason saying that he wants to do terrarium fascinators.
Oh,
great idea.
Absolutely.
We love dress up. Nina,
I love that.
Nina also says that a sealed terrarium will be in her dreams tonight. And Allie also says that this is really delightful. I love that word.
Isn't it? They truly are a delight. I have to agree with Allie. They really are just... and it's a conversation starter, isn't it? Totally. Like having this on your countertop in your kitchen or in your dining room, people walk by, they're like,
what is that?
Is that living? What is
that
what
real?
Is that? Is that real? And you can say, yes, it is. I A, made it myself, and B, it is a ecosystem. It is a self-sustaining ecosystem that is like living and doing its thing.
So it's funny because I do, obviously in design, I do a lot of prop styling, and we head into our, local home senses or whatever, and we get things like this, which is a terrarium, an open one. However, this doesn't have the same vibe as a living terrarium.
It's true. And I mean, plastic plants, they do their thing if you're really, truly afraid of getting into the plants. But having real plants, there's nothing quite like it. And I encourage you, it's really so much about what we do at the Urban Botanist, and what I am an advocate for is empowering people to feel comfortable and educated enough to buy plants, bring them home, and be confident in taking care of them. I don't believe in black thumbs.
No black
thumbs.
Ever
something.
Not even a brown thumb.
Which brings us to talking about easy plants.
Yes.
For your space.
Yes.
Should we talk about that?
I don't know. We should talk about easy plants, and it sort of segues into some decor tips. But let's talk about the plants. Like if you were going to give us top 5 plants that will be easy to take care of, low maintenance, and that will look nice.
So the great thing about my top 5 list is that these top 5 plants are not only easy to care for, they are also easy to find. You don't have to go on this crazy plant scavenger hunt trying to find this like rare plant that's super easy to care for. No. Not shockingly, you can find them at IKEA, you can find them at Home Depot, you can find them at Canadian Tire, easy to find plants that are usually something that's quite common. Another thing about most of these plants that I'm about to tell you guys is that they are amazing at removing toxins from the air in your space.
Okay,
so purifying the air.
That is something that I was going to talk about, and I'm glad you're saying this because purifying the air, you think of like, oh, do I have to buy like some kind of machine to do this? No.
And the thing is a lot of kids are, kind of as they mature, pick up allergies. And parents have come to me asking questions like, what plants can I introduce to my space that maybe will help pull allergens out of the air? And a lot of these plants are a really great option for introducing to your space that can help. They can help. They're not going to fix it entirely. I'm not a doctor, but they can help. Okay.
I'm so excited. Let me know.
So let's talk about easy plants. Plant
So
number
cute.
one.
Let's
This
make
guy
some
here.
space.
Anyone at home want to fire away what this guy is? Anyone recognize this beauty? This is a spider plant.
I was going to say snake. Wrong.
Close. Hey, that's super close. Super, super close. This is a spider plant, a non-variegated. I'm just having a JLo moment.
Oh, right. Yes. JLo. JLo.
Join me in JLo world.
Yeah. For everybody who doesn't have air conditioning, like in our studio right now,
no,
we're
but
just
I'm
going to dab.
We're kind of
We're
like
gonna
trying
dab
to
and sip.
embody the feeling of of what it
first of
feels
all,
like to be in a
cheers
terrarium.
to Emma for helping us create the terrarium. This has been such an awesome workshop. We are not done. We're still learning.
We're actually not.
But,
sorry.
I mean, we did this, and it, like, my anxiety level is gone now. Like, it's just...
Thank you for saying that, because I think a lot of people, when they get into terrarium building, they're so stressed. They're like, oh my God, I just want it to look good. I really want it to be cute, like the Pinterest pictures and like the Urban Botanist pictures. And leave your creative anxiety at the door when you walk into something like this. It is an opportunity for you to relax and to just get creative. As long as you have the right materials, check. The right instructor, check. You're gonna be in perfect shape, I promise you. So just let it all go, create something beautiful, and be proud of your creation, right?
Good. So good. All right, back to
easy plants.
Spider plants.
Spider plant, easy
Spider
plant.
plants.
These guys are super easy. They're one of the best plants for removing toxins from the air, believe it or not. You can find these anywhere. I kind of like this guy. He's on a hanger, so you can hang it from, your window.
So cute.
But these guys, they do need light. They kind of like a brighter space, but honestly, I find you can go for weeks with forgetting to water them and they're not going to like hate you for it. So these are easy to find. Sometimes they have some variegation in them. They have some white splashes. There's no real difference between the two. But these are a great starter plant for all of you beginners at home. Spider plant.
Love it.
Okay. Next one I recommend. Anyone recognize this beauty? Cher, anyone? No?
I really like it. I don't know the name.
This is called a ZZ plant or a Zanzibar gem.
Zanzibar gem.
Yes, you can see this like nice,
So
shiny,
cute.
succulent style leaves. And the reason why I love recommending this plant to people is you see that thick, succulent leaf. That is essentially similar to real succulents, is an evolutionary adaptation, which means it has evolved to withstand long periods of drought, to withstand harsh conditions. Maybe those harsh conditions are your home of you forgetting to water it. It's basically working as a water reserve. So these plants can go for extremely long periods of time without being watered. Can I get a hallelujah?
Hallelujah. A little hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can like totally forget about this guy and he's not going to be dead after, a 2-week trip to the cottage. He'll come home, he'll still be thriving. This guy is perfect. They get really big too. So if you're looking for something to be more of like a floor plant, ZZ plants are a good go-to.
How long would it take to become a floor plant?
To get quite big.
A couple years?
Mind you, to be fair, I don't usually see them this small. It's just
Okay.
the perfect size for like right now.
Yes.
Usually you see them big. And I like putting them in kind of like a raised planter on like a stand is really cute.
So cute.
And they also work really well at removing those toxins from the air.
Love it.
ZZ plant.
ZZ. An easy ZZ.
It's chic looking too, isn't it?
It is. This is totally designer approved.
Designer approved. I love it.
Love it.
The next one I'm going to recommend, and this one works really well in our plant shelfie.
Yes. So we're going to talk about shelfies in just a moment.
Plant shelfie, if you want to stack it, you want to layer it with a picture frame.
So many things.
Some books.
Do you want to do that now?
Yeah,
Okay.
why not? Let's
You know
bust
what?
it out.
We are going to basically sprinkle so many different things.
We're
Like,
sprinkling.
we're going to do decor
tinkling.
tips. No, we're just going to do everything at the same time because
Why not?
Yeah, that's just how we roll.
Because why not? You guys are into it. We're into it.
We're
You're
into
following
it.
along.
There's no rules. Okay, so a lot of you have books at home. We just take the dust jackets off, and we layer them on top. I don't know why designers like a rule of 3, but that's just how we are. So we have
odd numbers. I like it.
Yeah, so we've got our books, and just imagine this being on a shelf or on a table.
I mean,
honestly.
a terrarium looks really cute.
Boom,
Can't
done.
really go wrong with that.
Yes.
But one of the last plants I'll talk about is this guy here. This is a Phylodendron, or a sweetheart vine. Another one that looks really similar to this is a pothos, for those of you who know your plants at home. Another really easy plant to care for. It adds that beautiful pop of greenery. And what I love about this plant too is the different style of growth. It has that cascading growth.
I was just waiting for you to say cascade because I love that word. It's cascading. And for designers, we love the idea of layering. So we have sort of like this hard edge surface. Again, maybe it's books, maybe it's a shelf. And then once you add that plant on top, then you have some softness.
Totally.
In your space.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Let's layer it on top.
I love that so much. And I find, you're putting it on a mantle, you're putting it on a shelf. It's really going to start to grow into and down into your space. So it's like just a really cool way to add that lush green pop.
Absolutely. So another thing I like to do, so right now, this one isn't in a pot necessarily, but I love the idea of just choosing plants that are sculptural on their own. Right? Like, you sometimes you go to the grocery store and you have like a bunch of like begonias or peonies. These plants on its own just look so beautiful. And then what I like to do is just get a picture frame. Hopefully I don't get any. Okay, I'm looking. And you're basically just layering the plant in front, and you already get like this beautiful sort of like,
it's gorgeous,
styled shelfie that it took you like 2 seconds to create. And you can use, obviously you can, this is like a poster print. This could be even a picture of, your mom, your dad.
Yeah. Oh my
friends,
gosh, absolutely.
Your favorite botanist. Like
your
whatever.
favorite botanist, us, just the two of us.
Yeah. So these are just like some easy tips to create some style in your home and honestly anywhere. And I feel like now that I've done this workshop, I'm just going to look at things totally different because I really just felt like plants were a filler. I have an empty space. I'm going to put a plant there and it's going to fill. I think I'm just going to start.
I think that's fine. I think that's fine. I think that's probably like the majority of people who aren't like a crazy plant lady like me. I know my crazy plant ladies and daddies are out there.
Yes.
And the way we style our rooms is we will pick our favorite plants. And we're like, no. All the furniture has to work around my Monstera because my Monstera deliciosa is going in that corner and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that style totally works too. It depends on what you are styling, what your space is, what your priorities are, and most importantly for plants, how much sunlight are you getting?
Right.
What kind of plant parent are you also? Are you someone that's away every weekend? Are you kind of forgetful? Then these plants are perfect for you because they're low maintenance. They don't need to be watered every day. They don't need to be watered every week. So they're a great plant to incorporate into your space.
So it's almost like you kind of have to give yourself that chance to sit down and do like a little survey, a little checklist. Like, how often am I home? How much time am I going to an effort am I going to put into these plants? And can I actually, is it feasible? And maybe, is there someone else in our family who's going to also help with the watering?
There you go. That's really good. A checklist is important. I think that succulents work great for anyone that has a lot of light. Most of these plants are good in low light spaces. Snake plants are great too. You mentioned snake plants.
I love
those. Are super common. They're tall. They almost look like swords. Those you can basically put in a basement and they will somehow still live. Like, they are phenomenal. So if you're really looking to add greenery to a space that doesn't need a whole lot of love and attention and light, and you're in a low light loving space, you're in a low light space, that's a low light loving plant.
That is, if you had to choose a basement plant, is a snake plant.
Snake plant, ZZ plant.
ZZ plant.
Okay. ZZ would work fine too. There are low light plants that will work. Truly there are. Even pothos, devil's ivy, your grandmother probably has one of those plants. They're very, very common is my point, but they're still gorgeous. They look very similar to this Phylodendron cordatum. They have the big kind of heart-shaped leaves. They probably have a little bit of variegation or splattered color on them.
I feel like I have one in my bathroom.
Yeah, like everyone has them. And the reason why everyone has them is because they are so easy to care for and they're okay in low light spaces. So those work great.
Now, one question that I have is just like a personal question. If your plant looks like it's about to die because you did forget about it, can you, what's like an easy tip to get it back to life? Or is this just like a whole nother video?
I mean, yes and no. It totally depends on what exactly you've done. Have you overwatered it or have you underwatered it? It's usually overwatering.
Okay.
So if in the case that you've overwatered your plant, a great way to tell is usually leaf yellowing. Normally when the leaves on your plant are starting to yellow, it's a sign of over or under watering. You should know which one it is. It's like, oh, well, I mean, I water it every day. I don't know what you, oh, wait, I water it every day.
What happens when they're brown?
I'm not supposed to be doing that. Brown, yeah, again, it can be so many different things, truly. But if you have an overwatered plant, which is quite common, my recommendation is to repot. You know, remove the plant from its nursery pot or from whatever pot you have it in. Assess the roots. Are the roots like soggy and kind of like falling apart in your hand? Trim those back. It is a whole process.
Okay. Another video.
It's another video, absolutely. You can check out our Instagram account. We post constant tips on how to deal with those situations. We're at the Urban Botanist. But that would be kind of something that you have to start assessing is what exactly did I do wrong to the plant and how do I care for it? Another thing that's quite common that not many people think about is like, okay, well, I'm giving it the water it needs. I'm giving it sunlight. I'm doing everything that the little card told me to do.
Exactly.
But it's still like not
working.
It's not working. So this is a great tip for you folks at home is when you are going out and buying your plant. First of all, I recommend taking a picture of the space that you're trying to outfit. You know, it helps you understand, okay, wait, I am not getting as much light as I thought I was. And you can also show that picture to somebody who works there, somebody who's probably a professional at the nursery or at, you know, the garden center who can be like, oh yeah, you know what, that's the perfect amount of light for a sweetheart vine. Okay. It also helps you kind of structure in your mind what's going to work. You know, you're sitting in front of this big plant and you're like, is that going to fit in the corner of my living room? Oh wait, I have a picture of that. Right. Boom. Perfect.
We did it the same with our interior design spaces.
It works for plants too.
Yes.
It works
hand
for plants
in hand.
too.
I love
Absolutely.
This. I love this like little happy marriage.
Absolutely. They're meant to be in our spaces. We're meant to be close to nature. So it's absolutely important. The other thing you want to look at before purchasing a plant is take a closer look. Are the leaves browning? Are there maybe insects crawling on those leaves? Are there little eggs? It happens. It happens.
Does.
Insects, pests, and plants are paired together. It just happens and it's inevitable. But what you want to try and avoid is bringing a plant home from the nursery or from the garden center that is already infested. Try to avoid that, of course. Look for the telltale signs, you know, eaten leaves, little brown spots, little white spots too. Another thing that I do when I bring a new plant baby home is I quarantine it. We're all familiar with quarantine, right?
Yes.
Yep, that's what you're gonna wanna do to your plant. Keep it away from all your other plants because let me tell you, if that plant that you're bringing home has spider mites, mealybugs, thrips, any of the baddies, some people are probably looking at me cross-eyed, but they're a thing.
Freaking out.
They will, you know, they'll go to all of your other plants, infect everything, and before you know it, you're infested with all the things and all of your plants have died, and it's because of a friggin' pest that came in on that one plant that you didn't quarantine or check over.
And so how long is the quarantine? Is it 2 weeks as well?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's like, that's the common time frame now, so it works. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, like who knew? I had no idea about quarantining. I had no idea about the brown spots or the extra little like friends that could be living in there. But those are such good tips. And again, like you don't look at the price, look at the quality.
Absolutely.
Right?
Shop local if you can.
Yes, please shop local. That's always so important.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I would love to just sort of open up the chat to any questions that you have. It can be about terrariums. It can be about overall, just sort of like how to take care of your plants, like whatever you guys want to hear today. We're going to open up the chat. I'm loving all the comments so far. Nina says that basically these are like my kind of plants. They survive my brown thumb. And again, there's no more brown thumb. We're all about the green thumbs.
We're all about the green.
All the thumbs.
We're all feeling empowered to go out and shop for a new plant, to take it home and see how it goes.
Yes. Nina is also feeling very inspired, which I love. Jason just said that, Cher, you know what you're getting for Christmas. I love it. And I love even just knowing about my terrarium that's going to be coming soon. Is it going to be coming through the fireplace? Is this a Santa gift or?
Santa would have to really drive carefully with a sack full of terrariums, let me tell ya.
Exactly, and very careful. Maybe Santa needs like the terrarium car seat.
Yes, needs the car seat or he needs the kit. Like we sell the kits, of course. So if you want to make a kit yourself and you don't want to go out and buy all the little odds and sods on the urbanbotanist.ca, we do have kits for you. We make it easy. It comes with instructions. It comes with everything that you need to make your own little creation at home.
And honestly, when I got my box, I was just super excited because everything is there. These make super great gifts. This is also such a fun activity that you can do as a family. And I feel like it's just really good, you know, just like good morale and encouraging.
Yeah,
and
it's a different way to get creative, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I also have some questions again about moss. Like if I was going to be wanting to create a moss art frame, I know that we sort of talked about this on the phone about living moss versus preserved moss. For someone who just wants something low maintenance, is preserved moss the way to go?
Preserved moss is the only way to go. The thing about living moss, and let me be very clear, living moss needs to be constantly moist. So unless you're walking by that picture frame every single day and spraying it several times a day, it's not really going to be a thing. Also, living moss can carry spores, allergens, stuff that it's going to release into the air that's not really all that great. So I recommend using preserved moss. You can get all different types of species of preserved moss, so you can really get creative and fun with it. If you want to work with living moss indoors and bring it inside, sealed terrariums is the only way to go. It's captured inside. It's introducing that moisture that they need. Full stop, period. Yeah.
Allie is asking, can you put a cactus in a terrarium?
Yes, you can, Allie. You can put a cactus in an open terrarium like this. A cactus and a succulent are actually one and the same, except cacti have spikes. That's the only difference. All cacti are succulents, but not all succulents are cacti. Okay, it's a little fun riddle for you. Fun riddle for you. Like, I have no idea what you just said. But literally the only difference is that cacti have spikes. They won't do well in here. Again, think about, where do cacti live? They don't live in a moist ecosystem like this. Only open, okay? So absolutely it works.
That is like amazing.
We're wrapping our heads around it, right? We're wrapping our heads around it.
I mean, I feel like it's just like a whole different world. I don't know. And this is just way better than going to like the doctor and getting some quick fix. This is empowering. This is engaging. It's like interactive. And at the end of the day, you get something beautiful for your space.
Yes. You're speaking my language. You're
speaking
like, my language.
You know, you're fixing a toilet and you're like, yay, it works. No, this is something that will last for a long time. Is there a lifespan for a terrarium?
So I actually saw recently on the news an older man that had the oldest terrarium in the world or something. And he had it for like 86 years. Yeah.
How old was this guy?
I don't know, in his 90s. He's had it forever. It was a bottle, like a bottle-shaped terrarium. It was a sealed terrarium, right? So a sealed terrarium, this will live as long as you care for it. The care instructions for something like this is really quite minimal. But a terrarium will last for as long as you allow it to last. You know, this little guy here has been sealed for 2 years, maybe 3 years. Look at it. It's just moss.
But wait, and
I've never watered it.
You've never watered it in 2 years?
And it's thriving. It's thriving. This guy here has been sealed for about 6 months. And I just go in and give it a little haircut every so often. I just like...
I'm going to give you, because I totally, you know, I'm going to give you some applause.
Woohoo.
And maybe a DJ horn.
Got a couple little pieces off.
I don't know if you guys can hear that, but...
It's so cool.
Emma deserves so much love right now because these beautiful little ecosystems are just...
They're healing.
They're healing, you know. Are we going to have a cry right now?
I mean, I get emotional about plants every day. I'm like a huge plant loser, but also the coolest person ever. That's right. That's right. And I think that people need to start recognizing the true benefits associated with plants and nature. And that's what the Urban Botanist is all about. It's encouraging people to engage with nature in an urban setting. I find that nowadays we feel really quite starved for that interaction with nature. you know, technology is designed to constantly pull our attention, and our brains are actually not wired to manage that. And, you know, maybe you're feeling chronic fatigue, chronic migraines, anxiety, not sleeping, all of the things. And truly it can be as simple as just reconnecting with nature to help with those things.
In your own home. You don't even have to leave your home.
It's for everyone to enjoy. You don't need to go out on a crazy hike. You don't need to go like camping for a week. You can have a terrarium. You can have a single house plant. And, you know, even if it's just daily, you know, wiping the leaves down, making sure, oh, I'll pull away that little bit of dead leaf that's there, watering, checking the soil. It's those little check-ins that for me is mindful horticulture, and it just helps to ground you. It makes you present in the moment. And all the things. And all the things. And all you would hope for is that you could have a terrarium for at least 86 years. Pass it down generation to generation. How cool would that be? Somehow get into the Guinness Book of World Records. I don't know. Yes. But I would like to just sort of like remind everybody that, you know, this whole workshop was about overcoming any kind of anxiety that you have about terrariums and building one. And I know on Simply Cher Cher, it's all about getting things done simply. And I think that we really did that today. What do you think? Absolutely. I think you can get crazy with it. We talked about the tools, but it can also be very simple as just gravel, soil, plant, decor, boom. Amazing. Well, I just want to give you a little bit of love right now. The Urban Botanist also has a YouTube channel, so you want to definitely check her out. She's got amazing videos. Her Instagram is amazing as well. And honestly, this was so much fun. And I want to thank all of you guys too for interacting, being a part of it, going out ahead of time and getting all the materials. You guys are the real heroes. Real heroes. Or even if you went out and got a kit from Emma, this is something that I feel like can be ongoing. And we will have the chat open for a few more minutes. If you want to send us your questions, we can always answer them on Instagram. But before we close, because I know that any of you who are watching, if you want to win the giveaway, I almost forgot. You've all been wondering. I know. I was like, are we going to tie that in? Are we going to throw that in there? We're going to drop that down? An hour. Yeah. In order to win your giveaway, all you need to do is snap a pic. It doesn't have to be professional. It can be done with your iPhone or whatever you have, your iPad. Snap a pic of your finished terrarium. Your finished masterpiece. Your finished masterpiece. And then post it on Instagram and just tag us. So you're going to tag the Urban Botanist and Cheryl Tornueva. So I'm going to have that in the description as well. Tag us, and then by tomorrow, we will choose a winner by 7 p.m. Yes. And it can be stacked on the books. It can be on your plant shelfie. Snap a pic, tag us either in your story or on your feed so we can see how your beautiful creation turned out. I'm always dying to see how people's creations turned out. I mean, I'm sure not a single one will look even remotely similar to another. And that's another thing that I just love about terrariums. It is so unique to yourself and your personality and your design style. I mean, I'm so excited to see all of your pictures. And don't forget, we've got 3 amazing giveaways. We've got the DIY Terrarium Kit from the Urban Botanist. We have the 30-minute virtual design consultation and the Simply Cher Cher craft box. Whether you're an adult or you're a kid, you're going to stay creative while we are all at home. Just enjoying time with family. Create at home, exactly. So thank you again. We were going to link all of our information so you can contact us and stay connected. It'll be in the description, and the replay will be also available tomorrow on our channels. So yeah, stay in touch. We love you guys. Stay tuned. Keep growing your green thumbs. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Ciao.